Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the On the Sideline podcast with Jackson and Kyle. I am Jackson, and I'm joined here, as always, by the man whose top 25 list consists only of New England Patriots. Kyle, how are you doing?
Doing good. I don't even think one Patriot made my list now that I think about it. But
Yeah, it's not.
oh well.
No Christian Gonzalez?
Christian Gonzalez did not make my list. I'm gonna need a little more than 4 games, unfortunately. I do have one of my honorable mentions, so I guess that's that.
Yeah, well, okay. It's a little tease. If we're wondering who is the Patriots player in Kyle's honorable mentions, we'll get that at the end of the show. We are doing the top 25 players who are 25 and under, which, Kyle, I sort of forgot how difficult it is to figure out everyone's age. It's possible I've just missed somebody.
Yeah, I think I probably did too.
Mm-hmm.
But
Hopefully we didn't miss the same person.
Yeah, we'll grind together. We'll figure it out. It's also very confusing because there are times where people do 25 and under lists, and then there are times where people just do under 25. So trying to figure it all out, because I do like a comparison sake just to see I'm not missing somebody. I will say, just as a preface, I didn't put Brock Purdy on my list. I did see that on a lot of lists.
You didn't put Brock Purdy on your list?
No.
That feels like okay, well, we'll get, he's on my list, so we'll get to him.
Oh, wow. Okay. Maybe I did spoil it. I don't know. I didn't think you would have him either. That's surprising.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we will talk about it all. We're spoiling stuff at the beginning of the show, which is, it's an interesting show, Kyle. Starting off with the list, I came up with a trivia question to determine. I don't think we did this last year, but 2 years ago we did this. And my question was, who was the highest ranked player that was from one of our teams? So either the Buccaneers or the Patriots.
The highest ranked PFF player?
Highest ranked player on our list of the top 25.
I have a Buccaneer.
But which player?
Tristan Wirfs.
It was not Tristan Wirfs. Do you want to do another guess, or are you going to give up?
Antoine Winfield?
It was not Antoine Winfield either. It was not a Buccaneer, in fact.
Okay, who was it?
Mac Jones. Mac Jones, highest. How the mighty have fallen, Kyle.
Yeah, no kidding. So yeah, that's a little surprising.
Yeah, well, unfortunate for Mac Jones, but Kyle, you got the trivia question wrong, so I guess I'll go first here.
If you want, it's up to you, I guess.
Yeah, I'll go first. I get an extra pick here. We're doing an odd number, so I'm gonna in the draft. It doesn't matter. I get one extra pick. Can't turn down an extra pick.
Fair enough. First pick. Who you got?
Justin Jefferson. It feels like a easy pick. He's kind of like, many people consider him to be the best at his position, like by a pretty good margin. I'm not really taking positional value into account here, so because of that, he made my list.
Yeah, I tried not to, but I did think if there was a tie, I would give it to the more important position. But yeah, he's number one on my list too. Like you said, he's maybe the best at his position. Just going through some of the Justin Jefferson numbers, he missed 7 games last season and still had over 1,000 yards. His 5,899 yards through his first 4 seasons is an NFL record. He's averaging 98.3 yards receiving per game, which is also an NFL record. He has won AP NFL Offensive Player of the Year award in his first 4 seasons. And yeah, I mean, basically at this point, if he's staying at this consistent number, about 1,400 yards a year, in 15 years, 15 NFL seasons, that's still a long time. If he's able to play that long, he's going to be within Jerry Rice's record. I mean,
if anything, I feel like that sentence is just a pro Jerry Rice sentence more than anything else. Like that's what he has to do still to get in that. Like it's incredible what he's done, but it's also that's it's pretty wild.
But yeah, Jerry Rice did it in 21 years, different eras and all that kind of stuff too. So I mean, obviously everything's a lot different, but we're basically seeing the modern Jerry Rice. That's basically what it is. So I mean, he's been that good. And I don't envision him coming off the top of that receiver rankings for a long time anyways.
Yeah. Kyle, we have breaking news. The Hard Knocks team has been announced.
Is it the Carolina Panthers?
is not the Carolina Panthers, which is a mistake. It should have been the Carolina Panthers. That's a bad job.
Yeah, who is it?
The Chicago Bears. Chicago Bears will be the Hard Knocks team. I feel like they're too. I feel like they're too. I don't know. We wanted a bad head coach. I feel like Eberflus is fine. This is a disappointment.
It could be the thing that gets him fired, kind of Hugh Jackson X or whatever.
Maybe we'll get some drama there. I don't know. I think there's too much. Yeah, I want this to. I think we came to the right conclusion last week of like we need the messiest like team that be Hard Knocks every year. Does not happen. Kyle, number 2 on the list. Where are you going?
Sauce Gardner. I think Sauce Gardner is one of the best corners in football, if not the best corner in football. I think this Jets defense has turned to really good to basically awesome since he's been there. He takes away an entire half of the field. He's probably the best one-on-one corner in the league. And yeah, I got Sauce number 2, and I think he has a strong case for number 1 even after everything we just said about Justin Jefferson. He's that good of a player, and I envision him winning Defensive Player of the Year awards in his future. So there's a couple really good players on this list. This top of the list is really impressive, but I think he stands out among the top.
Wow. High praise for Sauce Gardner. I don't disagree. I think Sauce Gardner is incredible, but you think he's even better than Christian Gonzalez? Kyle, I'm not sure if he's the best corner in his division.
If Gonzalez keeps it going, I will be more than happy to put Gonzalez in the rankings. I just want Gonzalez to play a little bit more. Unfortunately, the injury happened, so that's that.
Yeah, that's the only reason probably why Sauce Gardner is able to surpass Christian Gonzalez. No, obviously I'm joking a little bit. I'm not a little bit. I am joking. He was 7 on my list. So, while I don't disagree that he is really great, I did feel like he wasn't quite as dominant year 2, that's a corner, right? You're not going to be, if you're the best corner in football in year 1, you're not going to be that every year for your entire career unless you're Deion Sanders. But I did knock him a little bit because of that.
That's fair. I did knock another corner because of that, so I could see it. But I mean, even not as good was still pretty darn good, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No. Oh, absolutely. And again, it's the kind of thing where if you're a tackle and you have a season where you're the best tackle in the league, and then a season where you're the 10th best tackle in the league, I'm going to be like, okay, you're probably around like the 9th or 8th best tackle in the league. For a corner, it's like if you do that, you're like the best corner in the league because like it's such a volatile position.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely feels that way at times. So I can understand that. And there are some really good players at the top of this list. So I'm definitely not going to argue it too strongly because I think
we need strong arguments, Kyle. It's good podcasting.
Yeah.
We need to yell.
Yeah, my 2 through 10 is just really. I mean, I feel like 2 through 11. Honestly, I feel like you could make an argument for. I really do think you could. I think it's that tight at the top of this.
Yeah, I mean, there's some players that I'm like, okay, you're like maybe number 1, and then when I'm doing the list, I'm like, you're not. They don't even make the top 10.
Yeah, it's kind of wild. So, there is going to be disagreements here. But yeah, I mean, I just think I still value the ability that Sauce brings to the table, and I just think if I'm using one of these guys to build my franchise, Sauce is at the top of my list, and that was the ultimate deciding factor because I do think a lot of these guys are close.
Yeah, I certainly agree with that. If it's a draft, he's higher than 7 on my big board, but it's not. It's just best player, not taking into account positional value too much. So because of that, number 2 on my list, number 3 on our list, going to Creed Humphrey. Creed Humphrey, a guy who is pretty much like the undisputed like best center in football right now, right? Like in the fact that he's able to be that guy with Jason Kelsey's gone. Like, yeah, I don't know how much we had to say about Creed Humphrey, but yeah, I put him at number 2 on my list.
Yeah, that's the thing about this list because we just said with the other guy. I have Creed Humphrey 8th. I mean, he is fantastic. He's one of the best centers in the league, if not the best. But yeah, I mean, it's just so tight at the top. I definitely could see the argument. Like I said, I think I didn't be these guys at the top. I think could definitely be argued for it. I just had him a little bit lower.
Someone in the chat said Leonardo DiCaprio's top 25. Yeah, this is Leonardo DiCaprio is going to enjoy this list a lot, I think.
Yeah. Should we start ranking his girlfriends too? No.
Well, yeah, next week we'll do that. I think that'll be a good podcast. Yeah, that's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, no one would ever go wrong with that.
I think so. Yeah, that would be the wildest podcast of all time, I think.
Probably have our most heated debates.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think that would be the if I would be a little disappointed if we did that and like the numbers did well.
We just have millions and millions of views.
Yeah, we just have to start doing that from then on. We'd have to be our gig.
That would be pretty awful.
Yeah, I don't know about that,
But
Kyle. Do you have
anything
anything
for
else?
viewers.
Yeah, I think so. I think I would still not do it. I think in that case, maybe if it was enough, but I feel like I would still be like, I'm good.
Yeah. Yeah, probably. You're right.
Yeah, I
I
think I'm
guess.
better. I have better things to worry about. Kyle, number 4. Unless you had more to say about Creed Humphrey, I don't think we can move on.
No, I mean, I didn't think we did him. We probably didn't do him enough justice there, but Humphrey is awesome. There's not too much to say about a center. Um,
Hmm.
I have Micah Parsons next. I had Micah
Yep.
Parsons third on my list. Another guy, he's going to probably win Defensive Player of the Year awards. I realize that he's still an imperfect player. He still gets beaten a run sometimes, but he's still top tier pass rusher and just an overall amazing football player. And I think he's got one of the brightest futures here.
Yeah, he was also number 3 on my list for what it's worth. You and I got into some battles last year about you tried to put him into T.J. Watt and Myles Garrett conversation, and I was not having that. But like, you're playing in an era. I mean, those are 2 Hall of Famers. Like, Mike
Yeah,
Parsons is also probably a Hall of Famer. Like, I just think he's not quite on their level.
not yet at least. If he cleans
Sure.
up some of the stuff, I think he could definitely be it. So he's close though.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's crazy that he was so good as an off-ball linebacker. He was drafted in like high in the first round, and then he ends up playing a different position and being like one of the best in the world at that.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean it is really quite the transformation. Like, not I don't think how many guys do you think could actually do that? Just him?
Uh,
Like,
yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like Devin Lloyd was pretty good as an edge rusher in college, but like I haven't seen it. I have no idea.
yeah, it's definitely few and far between, and he's got the athleticism to be able to pull it off. It's the big thing.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's keep it rolling then. Why don't we? Let's move on to number 5. Because again, a lot of good players here, a lot of agreements so far. Penei Sewell makes my list
Hmm.
at he was number 5 on my board, or actually he was number 4 on my board. I'm getting him here at 5. Again, it's I guess we can talk about Jamar Chase versus Sewell. Hey, Sewell was drafted earlier here.
Uh, yeah, he was drafted earlier. I mean, it's definitely worked out for both sides, so I'm not
Yeah.
going to complain about it too much. He
Hmm.
is just an absolute monster, though. He was fifth on my list. I did have him ahead of Chase as it was, but spoiler alert. But uh, yeah, I think Sewell is an absolute tank. He's a force on the offensive line, and he's part of one of the best offensive lines in the league. He's probably the best right tackle in the league. So he's got all that going for him, and Detroit got despite all that, Detroit got a really good player.
Yeah. Turns out the preseason issues did not end up being that big of a deal.
Yeah. Uh, Shockingly, it didn't seem to work out. I mean, this guy was, you know, talked a lot about kind of being that special talent as a, one of one kind of generational talent tackle. And, he's definitely more than lived up to the billing.
Yeah, yeah, no, I mean he's unbelievable. I mean the way no, he shouldn't be able to move the way he does at his size. Like
Hmm.
the way that he can move around, it's ridiculous. The consistent winning, yeah. I mean first Lion player to make this list. He will not be the last.
Definitely won't be the last.
Hmm.
Jared Goff, too old to make it, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Yeah, him and Antonio Pierce making this list for sure.
Yeah. The Jared Goff slide continues.
Yes, Kyle, number 6. Where are you going?
Number 4 on my list. I like it here at number 6. Kyle Hamilton, one of the best safeties in the league. I thought deserved kind of an outside shot at Defensive Player of the Year last year. Just the versatility, the ability to do a little bit of everything. It seems like in that Baltimore defense, and you know what? I do think Baltimore was probably the perfect place for him to go and be successful, and he's definitely succeeded. So I think he's been a top level safety. Just added more to this defense, which didn't need a lot more, but they got a lot more out of him. And yeah, I think he's a fantastic player.
Definitely not going to argue against Kyle Hamilton. I'm with you. His versatility is fantastic. I did have him at number 9 though. I had a couple players a little bit higher just because, but it is so difficult to compare some of these guys, which is part of what makes it's a difficult list to compile. But yeah, I mean, where would the Ravens be without him? I suppose like what he does, the many different facets of his game that can be so consistently good. It's really unique. And in hindsight, I probably should have been higher on him coming out of college.
Yeah. Those happen, but at the same time, yeah, I mean, I agree. They had all this stuff with like, they put those two big middle linebackers on the field and they can make up for it because they got this awesome safety who could play box, who could play deep. He does all this different stuff and yeah, I just think he's all around fantastic. Everything that they need him to do, he can do well.
Yeah. And what? Yep. I'm trying to think of something else to say, but I feel like we covered it. He's very good. I guess.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I'll explain why. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to explain why I put him lower on my list, just because like I do think there are. I don't think he's the best safety in football. I think he's up there. I think he's like in that elite category. I think there's other people that have a better argument for being the best at their position. Two other guys, which is why I had him a little bit lower.
Okay. I'd be interested to see who your two other guys is because the two guys I have next, I don't have as the best player at their positions, but I do think they're very good.
Yeah, and I don't, I don't think either of them are the best player at their position. Just maybe a little bit of a better, just a little bit closer. That was my argument. We can go on to number 7. I went with someone that we've mentioned in this podcast already. I went with Tristan Wirfs. Tristan Wirfs makes my list at number 7. A guy who's won an All-Pro at the right tackle position, and then moved to left tackle and has been great there. So, yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue too much with that.
Yeah, I can hardly complain about Tristan Wirfs. I agree. I did have him 10th.
How dare you?
I know, right?
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, it was really close again. I did feel like that there was a couple guys a little more deserving, but at the same time, I mean, like you said, this guy's an all-pro. He's played multiple positions for Tampa Bay and been elite at both. So you can
Mhm.
hardly complain about that. And you know, getting him in the middle of the first round when I think he was the third or fourth tackle taking that draft.
Yeah, fourth tackle.
What did you drop?
I'm sorry. I had this thing I was holding on to. It's this little thing. I just like to hold on to it, and then I try to pick it up with my foot, and it wasn't going well.
It's all right. It's all right. But yeah, I mean, he's just he is that level of a dude. I agree. So I mean, it's hardly anything to complain about in that fourth tackle in the draft, and they so far have clearly got the best one.
Yeah. Although I'll say this too, a little teaser. One of the other tackles didn't make my list.
Oh, we'll see who it is.
Yes, we'll see. Yeah. I mean, again, really good player. He's a tackle, so we won't talk about him for too long. Let's move on to number 8.
Um, Number 8. So this is my pick. Let's see. I
Yes.
had him number 6. Second receiver I'm taking off the board. This is Jamar Chase.
Hmm.
I felt like it was a slight step back for Jamar Chase, but he was also dealing with quarterback injuries, so I can't hate it too much. Um, but yeah, I mean, Jamar Chase is awesome. You know, one of the best yard after catch guys, which is surprising just given how big he is out there on the field at times. But yeah, he can do it all. He can catch, he can run. I mean, he's just the complete package you want at a wide receiver.
I think so I had him at 8, so I'm right in lockstep here. I think the thing about Chase is, I guess the criticism you would say is he was so good as a rookie. Like 1,500 yards, like was just dominant, was winning down the field all the time. It does feel like once teams have kind of put a safety over top, he hasn't quite reached that elite tier level again.
Um, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's definitely something. But I mean, I think everyone kind of gets affected a little bit more when they're double teamed.
Hmm.
Obviously he's not like Devontae Adams is one of the few that can kind of beat it consistently, right? Because he's just that good of a route runner, and maybe that's something Chase could still add to his game. But at the same time, you know, you're also devoting multiple defenders to one guy to take him out of the play. That generally helps your offense succeed too.
For sure. I don't disagree. I would say like, I don't know. It's probably similar to like a Mike Evans type thing where it's like you kind of see him like consistently have like 1,200 yards or 1,100 yards, but it's like the value is so much stronger. It's probably pretty similar with Chase. But I mean, just looking through the numbers, right? He had 1,455 yards in his rookie year. an 18 yards per carry, or yards per carry, 18 yards per reception. Past 2 years, 12 yards per reception and 12.2 yards per reception. So I do think
Mhm.
it is a little fair to say, at least for me, like, I mean, I think we considered him like better than Justin Jefferson as a rook when after that 2021 year. I think you didn't, but I think most people did. And now I feel like it's pretty, most people are very much in the Jefferson's clearly the better guy.
Uh, yeah, I would say so. And honestly, I almost dropped him down below another receiver. So I'm curious to see who you have next because I do think it's a real debate at this point because Chase did start off incredible, but the guy I have ranked next, I actually think was better last season. So I do think it's a real debate.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to wait a little bit on the next receiver because I am not going with a wide receiver with my next pick. I'm going with the first quarterback to go off the board, taking positional value into account maybe a little bit. I'm going CJ Stroud. I think CJ Stroud deserves to be here. The guy got MVP votes as a rookie. If we're doing positional value, he's number one, right?
Yeah, positional value, he's definitely number one. So I had him
Mhm.
12th. He was one of my two quarterbacks on the list. So I don't have really any complaints here. Um, you know, I tried really hard, honestly, to find a way to move him up. And I was just like, these other guys are like
Yeah.
for sure all pro candidates. I'm not sure like how I could justify it, but he's definitely in the conversation.
Yeah. Someone says CJ Stroud over Brock Purdy is the real hot take. Holy cow. Yeah. Wow. Scorching hot takes here, Kyle.
Oh boy. Wait till the end of the show.
Yeah. Right. Well, of course. Hey, he made my list. We'll get to it eventually. I mean, again, I do think it's fair to say with Stroud though, like we can sit here and say, like, well, is he as close to being the number one player at his position as someone else is at their position? Possibly not. But like, it's also fair to say his position's a lot tougher to be closer to number one as a first year
Yeah.
player than other guys, right? Like it's a lot. We
Yeah.
see, corners come in every now and then and look great right away, or wide receivers come in right away and look great. It's very rare for a quarterback to do it. It happens. Joe Burrow and Herbert were great as rookies, but like it's rare.
And he was better than those guys as rookies, or
Yeah.
at least pretty close, right? So,
Mm.
um, he definitely could be in the conversation, and he might be a top five quarterback this next year, which would put him in the discussion for number one on this list. So, yeah, I mean, maybe it is positional value a little bit, but I mean, it also is quarterback, so it kind of has to be.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's I think it's reasonable. So yeah. Want to move on?
Yeah, let's keep it moving. So, third receiver on the board, or fourth receiver. I forgot Justin Jefferson was taken. No, wait, third receiver. Just kidding. Tricked myself. CD Lamb.
Uh-huh.
Uh, yeah, I mean, this was the debate for me because I think he was better than Jamar Chase last year. I think Chase has had a better career up to this point. So, how do I gauge those two things? I ended up still giving the edge marginally to Chase, but it is pretty close. Like, I don't know, it was a bit of a slow burn, I feel like, for Lamb at times. I think he had some struggles, especially with drops early on. But I mean, I don't think anyone's debating his number one receiver prowess now. I mean, he is that kind of guy. And I mean, he could be a top five receiver by next season, regarded as. I think he's been that good and he's deserved every accolade that's come his way.
Yeah. I completely agree. I mean, you look at. I mean, he had 1,700 yards last season
Yeah.
and 12 touchdowns. Like that's absurd. Like what he did. Like honestly, we might be a little too low on him. It's like what you said. He's gotten so much better year after year. So it's like maybe he's just this trajectory he's on. If you look at, I mean, just box score stats, which maybe aren't the best stat way to evaluate a wide receiver, but they are the most fun way to evaluate a wide receiver. Like his first year he had 900, second year 1,100, third year 1,300, and then last year 1,700. He's gonna have 2,000 next year, Kyle.
Yeah. Break the record.
Yeah.
I think the most interesting thing is like this Dallas offense the last few years has consistently been really good to great. Um, and like each year, it seems like they chip away at the skill position talent, and you kind of think like this should get a little bit worse. And yet somehow it never actually gets worse. And a lot of it is because CD Lamb is getting better every year. Um, And I just feel like that's adding a huge element to this offense and what they can do.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And guy was a first team All Pro last year. So I don't know. This might be one that we thinking back on it, we're too low on.
Yeah, I mean, I really debated it. I felt like I could have moved him up, and it would have been justifiable. So, like I said, I think this 2 through 11, 12 is really, really difficult to judge.
I think there's one other guy in this tier that we'll get to now. I think that there's one other guy. Maybe you think there's more than one, but
I
I
got
think
two
there.
other guys in this tier, but they're
Okay.
close.
Interesting. So I think there's one other one. I mentioned there will be more Lions at play here. I'm going Aiden Hutchinson as
Hmm.
my number 11. A guy who, box score stats are really good. Guy has 21 sacks in the past 2 years, but also the advanced stats are really what makes him spectacular. And especially when you factor in, like, he's like the only guy for that Detroit Lions defensive line. He's the guy getting the extra attention. It's that's I think what really makes it so impressive. So yeah, I think Hutchinson definitely deserves to be high on this list.
Completely agree. And he was next on my list too. Next available on my list. So I had him ninth overall. Definitely can't complain about it. He is an absolute monster. Some of the best hands on the defensive line. And I think he's just really good all around player. I guess the one thing, like, kind of like what we were saying with Stroud, it's kind of, it still feels like a little bit of a gap for him to become like a tier one, top number one player at his position. But that's
Mhm.
also because there's, four Hall of Famers in front of him. So it
Right.
makes it difficult to do that.
Yeah, it's difficult. Also, good comments. Joe in the chat saying Aiden Hutchinson over Tommy DeVito. My. Also, someone saying, "Can you guys start over? I just got here." Yeah, we can start over.
Okay, so number one on the list, who do you got? No.
Yeah, no, yeah. I think no. You can start it over. Just hit the little start over button on the bottom of the screen.
Yeah, you could do that.
Yeah, it can be done. Yeah, but no, as a whole, I mean, again, like we said, Hutchinson, second Lion on the list, and I have a feeling he won't be the last either, Kyle.
He won't be because I have a lion next.
All right, well, let's get into it. Is it Amon-Ra?
Amon-Ra St. Brown. Yeah, I have
Yeah.
him 11th on my list. You know, uh, there's really not a lot of reasons to put him this far below guys like CeeDee Lamb and Jamar Chase, but I do think just because like I'm putting marginally lower. I think there's a little bit of a gap, but it's so small. And this was another guy who was an All Pro last season. I think he absolutely deserves it. Um, incredible route runner, incredible over the middle of the field, incredible hands. I mean, he's the complete package you want from a guy who could play the slot receiver. There may not be anybody who could play the slot position as well as him, and he could play on the outside still some. So he's an incredible player and incredible tool in this offense.
Yeah, I think the critique you would have is just that he's a slot receiver, right? Like that would be the criticism.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the difference between like the unfortunate thing when you compare him to Jamar Chase is just 6'4", and that's just going to be a dominating factor forever. Like
Hmm.
you can't teach it. Like,
Yeah.
unfortunately, Amon-Ra is just going to play on the backseat of that. But at the same time, like, there's not many people who are this consistently productive out of the slot. Like, you'd have to go back to like prime Wes Welker, maybe. Like, I don't even know how far back you go for that.
Well, I mean, I think Cooper Cup.
Yeah, that's true. He still plays a lot more on the outside. I feel like than Amon-Ra, but he does play in the slot still.
Yeah, I think Cooper Cup would be fair, but I think that it's not often. Is we can both agree on. How much of a bummer would it be if you're Equimanius St. Brown? First off, it's a tough name. It makes it tougher to write your name on tests and stuff. So that's a bummer. Number one, and then two, it's like you make the NFL. What an achievement! Congratulations, what a job! And then your little brother comes along and is way better than you.
Uh, he can't be the first person to ever have their little brother be better than them, right?
No, but I'm just saying in general, like it would be like I always thought about like Wayne Gretzky's brother, like what Brent Gretzky I think his name was, who was he made the
Yeah,
NHL like for a cup of coffee, but it's like hey, what an achievement making the NHL, and then your brother is like the best of all time.
yeah, that's gotta be tough. Like your career's just like not as you can't even say, oh, I was an NHLer. That's awesome, because then you got to go home and say, oh, Wayne Gretzky. I get it.
Yeah, if Equimanius St. Brown is like at a bar, he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm in the NFL." Like it's like, "Oh, your last name's St. Brown. Oh my God, are you Amon-Ra St. Brown?" No, that's not me.
Yeah. He's not getting the hometown, the jersey retirement in high school and all that. It's all going to his brother.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's at the graduation, like his brother speaking. He's just like there watching. Yeah, it's tough.
Hopefully, Harrison Butker's not speaking.
Yeah, let's definitely hope that's not happening. Let's move on from Amon-Ra St. Brown. Going from a slot receiver to a slot corner, I am going to go Trent McDuffie. Trent McDuffie of the
Mhm.
Kansas City Chiefs, an all pro at the slot corner position. So, again, we're this far down the list, still getting all pros. Big part of why they won a Super Bowl. He is here at 13.
Uh, yeah, I mean, I can't complain about this at all. He was next on my list actually, so we both had him at 13. I don't even know
Hmm.
if you had him at 13, but he is
I did. Yeah, I had him exactly at 13. That's weird.
okay. So yeah, so we have
Hmm.
him at the exact spot where we say our first tier kind of ends with those top 12 guys. And that feels right. I think he's the next best level, and yes, he was an all pro. Obviously, you could probably judge slot corners a little bit less than some of the other positions, but at the same time, he's the best at it, and he's really darn good.
Yeah, I do think there is actually a little bit of a reasonable thing to say, like to hold being a slot corner against a player more so than a receiver. Because like a receiver, it's like if you're moving the ball, who cares how you're doing it? But like a slot corner, there is like a legitimate like skill set that like type of route you just don't have to cover being a slot corner. It's still really
Yeah.
difficult and really valuable though. Like they don't win that Super Bowl without. I mean, he made like one of the plays of the Super Bowl, right? That blitz to
Mhm.
deflect the pass away that made the Niners have to settle for a field goal instead of being able to ice the clock and then kick a field goal at the last second of the Super Bowl. So yeah, he's a tremendous player.
Yeah. Just naturally at the position, like your job is to cover receivers, and there are receivers that he can't cover just based off size. So it's unfortunately against him.
Yeah. Number 14, where are you going?
Um, Andrew Thomas.
Yep,
I
number
got my
14 on my
next.
list.
Yeah. He's good. He's really good. Like you said, I guess if you say, this was a bit of a slow burn, really slow burn. The first year was a bit of a disaster. But he's really come around and kind of refined into a really good offensive tackle. I guess you could say he's not Tristan Wirfs, and that's the one knock on him, but he's really turned into kind of a franchise player, which they really wanted at that. He was top 5 pick, wasn't he? He was like fourth.
Yeah, he was fourth overall.
Yeah, so they got a fantastic player for it.
Yeah, and he was so bad as a rookie too. So like
Yeah.
he was so bad as a rookie. People still think Evan Neal might be good.
Yeah. It's just the Giants' philosophy to get these project guys, I guess.
Yeah, but and Andrew Thomas wasn't even really supposed to be a project. He just for whatever reason sucked this first year. Like that was a weird. Like he was supposed to be a pretty NFL ready guy. It just
Mhm.
took him a minute. But yeah, has had some trouble staying on the field too. Only played little over 500 snaps last year. So that's kind of the other knock.
Yeah. I mean, if he puts it all together, though, I mean, this guy, he might belong in that first tier with all those guys. He is that talented.
Uh-huh. And like yeah, it's the thing too, it's like if he just stays healthy, like he's the most when he's on, he just feels completely like how do you even beat this guy?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I agree. I mean, he might be the best left tackle on a down to down basis. We just need more downs.
Yeah. I would agree with that. Let's move on, why don't we? Let's go to 15. Let's see. Can the trend continue of us having the same list? I want a Puka Nakua. Makes my list at 15.
Ah,
Was he
so
on your
close.
list?
He's on my list. He's 16. So we are really
Okay.
close.
Why so are we gonna argue now, get into a heated debate as should he be 15th or 16th?
Well, the interesting thing is I have a receiver 15. I have a different receiver 15.
Oh,
So,
okay. Well, that is fascinating. I have a receiver not too far down. I wonder if they're the same guy. But yeah, I mean, listen, guy had nearly 1,500 yards as a rookie. Like he did better than Jamar Chase did as a rookie. It was a
mhm.
more unique way he did it. He's kind of a guy who he did do a lot of his work out of the slot as well, or just those over the middle routes, which Sean McVay loves. Can win on the outside though as well. Similar to Cooper Cup, like they will have those moments, but you know, it's hard not to like too much about him. I guess the one other knock on him is it's only 1 year, and we have
Mhm.
seen guys have great rookie years and then not amount to too much more after that. what are we going to see out of him? Will defenses adjust the way we saw they adjust to Chase? I don't think it's quite as simple of an adjustment you can make against someone like Nakua, but it's interesting.
Yeah, I agree with all that. Incredible hands. Seemed like he caught basically everything. I think that's the big thing he has going for him. Um, I do think like he is tailor made for the Los Angeles offense. Like I do think that's
Hmm.
something that's big for him. Like, does he
Yeah.
get drafted by anybody else and have that success? At least at I should say maybe obviously San Francisco he'd have a lot of success, but
Hmm.
like, is he drafted in like Washington and having similar success? I don't know. That's the one thing, but at the same time, like I can't fault guys for being really good at the spots they're put in, and he was debatably one of the best receivers in football last year, given the spot he was put in.
Yeah. And, Amon-Ra St. Brown's probably not the same guy if he's in Washington, too.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Hmm.
I didn't
Yeah.
put my
So
team because I didn't want to hurt my own feelings. So
we were all thinking Patriots. We were using Washington as a substitute.
yeah, that's okay.
Yeah. Puka Nakua. Really good. Excited to see where his career goes from this. And who knows? Maybe with him and Cooper Kupp healthy for a whole year, maybe that could help out both guys.
That would be fun. It'd be fun to see Los Angeles get really competitive because I think that could be a good offense.
Yeah. Number 16. Where are you going?
All right, so I said it was receiver. Tease that. Speaking of receivers put in crappy situations, Garrett Wilson.
Yeah.
I have him next. I had him 15 on my list. And I mean, honestly, I agree with you. Puka Nakua statistically was better than Garrett Wilson. And I thought about this. I just uh, I just think Garrett Wilson's better. I don't really
Hmm.
have any other way to say it except I think he's better. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's allowed. You're allowed to do that. No, I mean, well, the box score stats are not great with Garrett Wilson. They're not. But at the same time, 1,000 yards in back-to-back years with Zach Wilson is incredible.
Yeah. I mean, I just look at the like he didn't get to play with Aaron Rodgers at all.
Hmm. Hey, he got
He
4
had
snaps.
4 snaps in. You're right.
Hmm.
I just I would have loved to see a little bit more of him with a great quarterback. But yeah, I mean, I just think I just think he's a more talented player. But I do think it could be debated for sure.
Yeah. Kyle, I also have someone put this in the chat earlier. I'm not sure if he saw, but I have real world breaking news.
Oh boy.
President Donald Trump has been found guilty of falsifying business records in hush money trial. The 34 count verdict is still being read. That was 28 minutes ago.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, maybe I don't know. It might be time to watch the news instead of us. Just throwing that out there. We're having fun here, but I don't know if this is. It feels a little silly competing with that as we're like, Garrett Wilson was pretty good last year. You
Should
get him
we
a real
rank our
quarterback. I think
top?
it could work.
Yeah. Should we rank our top 25 Trump felony
Yeah, ooh,
verdicts
that's good. I like that.
convictions?
Yeah.
Do that instead. We can transition real quick.
I think so. That'll be the week after we do ranking Leonardo DiCaprio's girlfriends.
Yeah, we got a whole month planned out now. We're all set.
Yeah, this is good. Good. We got to get the off season somehow. Listen, it's not that much far off from what we're doing now here, Kyle.
That's fair. We're having fun though, like you said, and my dog's freaking out. I guess she heard the news. But yeah, Garrett Wilson, really good, really fun.
I like it. Top presidential candidates under 80. It might be hard to come up with a list.
Yeah, I don't even know if I can think of 25 politicians. I can't think of 10 politicians I like. Never mind 25.
Yeah,
That would be harder than this list infinitely.
Yeah, I think so. I think that would be difficult. Might have to go with like some like historic guys like Lincoln.
I can't. Not under 80, unfortunately. I can't think
Yeah,
of
well,
one
I guess it
politician
depends
I
on.
like. Never mind 25.
I was gonna say, does it count? Or if you died before 80, are you eternally that age?
I don't think that's how it works.
Okay.
I don't think that's how the rules of the afterlife work.
Okay, I don't know. Well, we'll work on rules of the afterlife later. I think we covered Garrett Wilson pretty well in this segment.
Yeah, is that a future episode too? Rules of the afterlife.
Rules of the top 25 rules of the afterlife. I like that.
Let's move on. Number 17. Who you
Number
got?
17. Let's go back to another quarterback. You don't have any quarterbacks on your list, apparently. I'm getting all the quarterbacks here. I'm going Trevor Lawrence. I still have Trevor Lawrence. I still think he's a good quarterback. I know last year, once you look at his numbers, like the last 4 weeks of the season they were horrible. But like I do think he was just injured. Like I watched him play. Like he didn't look like the same guy.
Yeah.
I think he's still really good. You have to knock him some for how that season went, but like I still gonna put him on the list.
Yeah, I mean, I have him 20. He is the other quarterback I have on the list. So I'm not going to fault it too much. Um, I guess the interesting thing is, we talked about his improvements last season, and I was thinking about this after we did the show, and his improvements of taking care of the ball and making smarter decisions. Was
Mhm.
he taking care of the ball more because he was hurt, or because he's actually improved? That was the thing I was kind of interested in, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think part of it is like you look at his like advanced stats 2 years ago, and like it was so usually those include playoffs, and it was so tilted due to the like that Chargers game where he was just like awful, especially in the first half. Although he still had his issues in other games, but I don't know. I think that he just was processing plays faster. I think that's really what it came down to, and was in a little bit of a
Yeah.
better situation with like. Say what you want about Calvin Ridley, it wasn't ideal. It was better than what Lawrence had been dealing with. Um,
Well, good thing they brought him back.
right. Well, they drafted Brian Thomas Jr. Got another athlete because that's never failed Trent Baalke in the past, getting the athlete guy. I don't know. I get it. I get Kyle. How did this happen? How did I become the Lawrence guy? I've been
I mean,
the lowest on him out of anybody in the world, like for his entire career. Now all of a sudden, I'm his one defender.
yeah, he's good. He's fine. Obviously we've expected a little more out of him, but I still think that player's in him.
Yeah, we didn't have some again some more comments, which these are cracking me up. Mo says this is my news. I think he gets the news from us. That's smart. That's good. And then I have Brock Purdy greater than T-Law, then Danny DeVito greater than T-Law, and then DeVito greater than Mahomes.
There's a lot of there. Is there just one Tommy DeVito fan who's really loud, or is there multiple Tommy DeVito fans?
Well, I think there's multiple. It looks like GC and then also Joe are both. I mean, Joe's a Giants fan, of course, but yeah, I think that we got multiple.
How are you going to act like Tommy is the best quarterback? He's not even starting for you next year.
Well, you don't know that.
Daniel Jones is back, baby.
We'll see. We'll see where Daniel Jones. Well, I don't think he's under 25. But anyway, Kyle, number 18. Where are you going?
Javon Holland.
Mm-hmm.
He's still really good. I mean,
Yeah.
I think he's a stud, and he's also, I think, in the conversation for when he's riding on his best, one of the best safeties in football. And he had a little bit of a weird year too, and I think he really bounced back last season, and I think he could be a top level guy.
Yeah, I mean, I docked him a little bit more for that year too. I think we both probably knocked him a little bit for it. I had him at 22 on my list, but yeah, you do have to wonder if it's just like, I mean, considering he's basically had to play in 3 different defensive schemes in his career, like being good in 2 of them, that's not so bad.
Yeah. Somewhere in there, you're gonna find the guy who's the best safety in the league. So he definitely has that talent in him, though, it feels like, and he's just a difference maker back there.
Yeah, and he's going to be part of the reason why I'm going to fall in love with the Dolphins again. They keep trying to make the secondary thing work, and it's almost working. They're so close. Maybe this is the year.
Do you think you're going to pick them to win the division?
Probably, right? I mean, like the Bills, I don't think I can pick. Maybe the Patriots. That's definitely not the Patriots. It comes down to I'll have to really look into it, but I mean, I don't think it's a crazy take, right? I mean, I know the Jets could be good too, but
yeah, I think I'd probably have to lean Jets right now, but I guess there's 3 teams you could debate. I mean, you still have Josh Allen, so I'm still putting I'm still not discounting the Bills with Josh Allen. That's just the one thing.
Yeah, I might discount him a little.
I know, but like Josh Allen wakes up and wins 11 games. He may not win in the playoffs, but he's going to win 11 games.
Sure, and it's not his fault they don't win in the playoffs either. I mean, I get it. I understand it, but I just we'll get to that. We'll get there when we get there, Kyle.
Yeah, but I mean, this Miami defense, like I know obviously losing Vic Fangio stinks, but I do think they're going to be pretty good again, and I do think they figured some things out last year, and hopefully McDaniel is going to try and find something at least schematically similar because obviously losing that defensive coordinator is tough.
Yeah. Let's move on to a guy who is not on Kyle's list. Let's go 19, Brock Purdy. Kyle, explain yourself.
Um, I got really good players on my list.
Hmm.
He's in my
Have
honorable
those players
mentions.
gotten MVP votes?
Well, he shouldn't have gotten MVP votes.
Okay, but he did.
Uh, that's the point I've been making for months. This is my list.
Uh huh.
You can ask one of those MVP voters who they would pick, and they
Sure.
might put him on their list. But I mean, d- I can go through my. I mean, the amount of guys I have on my honorable mentions list is impressive. Do you want me to go through that?
We can you could go maybe say a player, but let's not go through all of it yet now.
I don't know. Like Devontae Smith is also on my honorable mentions list. There are guys who are really high level players that are not in my top 25, and he's just one of those guys.
Well, I guess my counter argument is I think Brock Purdy. I mean, I think it was 15th on my list of quarterbacks. He was like 11th on yours or something like that. It's funny. Kyle is a Purdy hater. It's funny because you had him higher on the quarterback rankings than I did, but now I have him on this, and so it's just gotta. But I feel like is Devonta Smith like a top 11 to 15 wide receiver in football? I don't know.
Yeah, probably not, but I don't know. Yeah, he's not. He's not in the top 11 to
Hmm.
15.
But I
But
guess
receiver's also deeper than quarterback. Like,
I guess that's the flip side. Is like is it more valuable to be the 20th best out of 100 or the 15th best out of 40?
right. Yeah, I mean, it's just a tough spot. I think he's close. I mean, he's good, but I just think there are other players that I think could be all pro caliber players that are making this list, and he's not.
Yeah, I think that's probably reasonable. That I feel like I could see Smith being having a better chance of making winning an All Pro than Purdy. I mean, that's not true. Purdy has a great chance to win an All Pro. He again damn near won it last year, but
Yeah,
like should like a deserved All Pro.
yeah, I think that's fair.
Hmm.
That like I said, I just because I didn't think he should have got MVP votes. I wouldn't have him that caliber of a player. I do have Caleb Williams on my honorable mentions. Is that too hot of a take?
Yes, that is a hot take. Who would have made your list first, Caleb Williams or Brock Purdy?
I almost put Caleb on there just to see your reaction.
That'd have been fun. Okay. Well, I guess spoiler alert: Caleb Williams did not make the list. Gotta move on. 20. Where are you going?
um, Jalen Carter. Speaking of guys who I think could be all pro, this guy could be all pro next season. Jalen
Hmm.
Carter's amazing. He's an awesome defensive lineman, and honestly, like probably should have been defensive rookie of the year if it wasn't going to be Kobe Turner. Like
Hmm.
I think he was that good last season, so I think I think I still thought he was the best defensive player in the draft. Obviously fell for off the field reasons. I still think he's the best defensive player from that draft class. I got Jalen Carter.
Yeah, I left him off my list. I didn't put him in my honorable mentions, which is probably a mistake. I think looking at it now, I probably should have had him higher. I think you're right. Although I would say he did cool off towards the end of last year. That's what I ended up hurting, knocking him enough to knock him off the list. Is I did think that with other guys, like the guy who won Defensive Rookie of the Year, you kind of saw him get better as the season went along. Carter, it seemed like the opposite happened, and I'm not sure why that happened exactly.
I think he hit a bit of a wall. Plus, it seemed like everyone got worse at Philly on
That's true.
defense at like the same
Hmm.
exact time. So
Uh huh.
I don't know. I think his ceilings were much higher than Will Anderson. Like I do think there's a big gap between his ceiling and Will Anderson's ceiling.
Well, let's just get into it. Let's talk about these two guys together because next on my list at 20 was Will Anderson. So we can still talk about Carter as we talk about both of these guys. But I wouldn't have Anderson ahead, and I think my logic, I didn't really think about directly comparing these two. I just kind of put him here. But I mean, I don't know. I think that Anderson, like I said, kind of got better as the season went along. And if I'm saying right now, who do I expect to be? I think Carter had the better season, which is weird because they each only had one season, but I still think I would kind of lean towards Anderson.
Uh man, it's tough. Like he is really good. Like I don't know. It still feel maybe there's just the pre-draft thing that I have with him, but like I don't know if I ever see Will Anderson being the best edge rusher in football. And
Maybe, but I
like,
also don't know if like is I guess so. I can see that, but I'm
yeah,
doing it more so right now as opposed to where will you be in 5 years.
yeah. I just think that's one of those things where it's like I think Will Anderson is probably ceiling wise very good to like Pro Bowl edge rusher. Where I think, like I said, Jalen Carter, I think could be the best defensive tackle in the league, maybe even next season. Like I don't think that's that crazy of an idea.
I think it's a bit crazy. I mean, Chris Jones is still in the league.
Yeah, I mean he is a little bit older, but I mean he's still really good, so I get it. So, but I do think he has that upside.
Yeah. I guess I understand it. I don't know. I'm not going to argue too hard against it. I totally agree. I think Jalen Carter's really good. Kobe Turner also didn't make my list, and maybe he should have. I think it. I don't know. I don't know why I put Will Anderson here now. I feel like I'm second guessing myself. No, I'm not going to second guess myself. I'll be strong with my opinion. I feel like, again, I don't know. I thought he was really good last year. Like, I think what was lost in the whole he probably didn't deserve defensive rookie of the year is that he's a really hyped up prospect who had a really good rookie year.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean he was really good. So I can't fault
Mm-hmm.
it too much. I do have him on my list. He's 23 for me. So I can't hate it too much.
Mm-hmm.
And Kobe Turner also on my honorable mentions list. So all three of those defensive rookie of the year candidates I thought were really close. But yeah, it's he was really good. I just thought talent-wise Carter's a little bit better. But I mean that's also subjective opinion. So it's kind of hard to, justify that.
Yeah, I think either way, these guys are both going to be really good.
Yeah, I would say so. I think both
Yeah,
teams are very happy.
yeah, I think so as well. Let's move on. 22. Where are you going?
Tyler Smith. Let's go Tyler Smith. I really like him. I think he's another one of those guys, just a really talented athlete, really good left tackle. Or I think he's moving to left tackle this season for the Cowboys. Was right tackle last season, and yeah, I think the Cowboys got a really good player. So not the flashiest name on the list, but I think he is really good. And yeah, another one could be a great player on the for that team for many years.
Yeah, one of the classic. Everyone made fun of this pick, and then it ended up being really, really well done.
Yeah, we get a lot of those end of the first round, right?
I think not as many as people remember them. I think is the thing. I feel like it happens like once out of every 10 times, but people forget the nine
Yeah,
times that it fails.
yeah. Cole Strange was not as funny.
Yeah, sorry about that, Kyle.
It's okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on. 23 on the list. We said we're not done with Lions just yet. The fourth Lion to make this list, Sam Laporta here at 23. Kind of already in that elite tier of tight ends. Probably isn't as good as certainly not Travis Kelce quite yet. And Mark Andrews and Kittle, I think you would still put ahead of them due to especially their blocking. Although Laporta's not a black hole there. His receiving was as good as basically anybody's last year. So I think he deserves a spot on the list.
Absolutely. He's 24 for me. He was really good. I mean, he was really good. That
Mm-hmm.
offense is amazing, and he was amazing in it. And yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he's climbing up this list by next season. And everything they wanted out of that. He's a fantastic player, and another one who's just a great tool in that offense.
The Lions are really going to have to start shelling out some money in a couple years.
Yeah,
I mean, some of these guys already paid, but still.
they're gonna have to pay him again, honestly. So,
Yeah, yeah.
um, yeah,
But
I
it's
mean,
a
all
good
these
problem
guys
to
are
have.
really good. Yeah, I can't fault it too much at all. I agree.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. And again, he was drafted in the second round, and everyone was kind of like, bit of a weird pick. Like there was Michael Mayer
Uh,
was the guy who's everyone was like, oh, why are you not taking Mayer?
yeah, no, I agree. It was definitely a surprise at the time, and but another one where, like you said, it worked out right for them.
Yeah. All right. Well, 24. We got 2 picks left. Kyle, this is your last selection. So who are you going to make sure is on the list?
Yeah, I still got three players in my top 25.
Okay. So do
So
I. Yeah.
there's there's a couple guys here that are going to be left on the board. Um, I'll go Greg Rousseau. I think he's a
Okay.
really good edge rusher. I actually had him just in front of Will Anderson. I think you could buy if it's an upside play, I'd probably take Will Anderson. I think Rousseau might be a little bit better right now, and that's where I had Rousseau on this list. And yeah, I mean he's a fantastic player.
Yeah, he's an analytics darling or so. The box score stats aren't as much there. Only 5 sacks last year and 8 sacks the year before, but definitely I think it's still been good. Even that's still pretty quality. And then the advanced stats are really good. He did not make my list. I think he's very good. I just had a couple guys I like better. But yeah, is he like, if we're doing top players who most people don't know who they are, is he he's high up on that list, right?
I would say so.
Hmm.
Um, he's definitely got to be in consideration for that. Yeah.
Yeah, who are the best players? Yeah, I feel like I don't know. Depends on how deep we're going. But yeah, I mean he's been really
Yeah.
good for
Justin Simmons is a guy who's been talked about on that list a lot, right? Like best player nobody talks about kind of thing. Although he's
uh
probably been talked about too much because he keeps getting brought up on that list.
yeah. I think the real answer is it's just 25 offensive linemen.
Offensive lineman. I think
Yeah.
defensive tackle is a great position for that.
Yeah, the run stuffing
Um,
defensive tackle definitely.
yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, no, I mean he's definitely someone who deserves more credit. Definitely someone who does a lot of the dirty work and should probably be talked about more.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I mean, I think he's not in that elite tier. I think he could get in. I mean, the thing is like if he ended up having like a 12 sack season, he would be regarded as an elite guy because, like you said, the advanced stuff is just so impressive.
Hmm.
So if he ever gets the sack numbers, like he's going to be talked about in the All Pro conversation.
Yeah, I think the other critique you would have is he hasn't been an every down player. Last year was the most
Hmm.
snaps he had, including playoffs. He had 660. So, and he was over 500 but under 600 each of his first 2 years. So I think that's the other thing is like if you had him play 1,000 snaps, maybe his bulk stats would go up and people would think he's better, but his advanced stats could go down.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a possibility. I agree with that because it is kind of like you said. You know, I'm trying to think of low quantity but high quantity, or low quantity but high quality.
Yeah.
So it could reverse, obviously.
Yeah, no, I agree, but definitely a good player. Definitely not mad he's on the list. It'd be weird if I got mad if someone was on the list.
You said Caleb Williams, maybe.
Maybe that might have been it. I'm glad you didn't go there at 24. 25 on the list. Let's round it out. Only one guy gets mentioned, and that's it. Everyone else has to they're not already 25 and will be off the list next year. I'm going Tyler Linderbaum. Go with another center.
Mhm.
Multiple centers make my list. Linderbaum's just been a really good player for the Ravens for since he's been there. Like again, he's a center, doesn't get a ton of attention, but I think he deserves a spot on the list.
Yeah, he was really close. I had him initially on my list, and then I moved some guys up and just bumped him off. But I
Caleb
can't
Williams
fault it
jumped
at
him.
all. Yeah, Caleb Williams.
Hmm.
He definitely deserves the conversation for sure. I mean, he's awesome. So, and he's a franchise piece for that team right now.
Yeah, it's again. I think guys like him and like Creed Humphrey. It's the hey. Sometimes when there's the player who everyone's like, this player's really good, but he plays center. Just draft that guy.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I'm
Hmm.
hoping that's the thing for Jackson Powers Johnson because I really liked him in the draft too.
Yeah, wouldn't be shocked. Kyle, let's go through some honorable mentions. Do you want to go first? You've already mentioned some of yours, so why don't you go with more of yours?
Yeah, I'll just go through the list. These are all guys I kind of considered for spots. Oh, so first of all, the guys I had
Oh
on my
yes, do
list
that.
that didn't
Hmm.
make it. I had T Higgins on my list, didn't make it. Still 25, and then I had Chris Olave on my list. He didn't make it. So those are two guys I had on the list that didn't make it. Other guys I considered that just missed my list. There are a handful of them, so this could be a while. Derek Stingley, Devontae Smith, Trevon Diggs, Pat Surtain, which is crazy how far he's dropped off after last season.
Hmm.
Brock Purdy, Jameer Gibbs, Tyler Linderbaum made the list. Christian Barmore, Caleb Williams, Kobe Turner, Dalton Kincaid, and Devin Witherspoon.
Yeah. I also had Sertan on my list. He ended up not quite getting chosen. And Kyle, guy, I'm surprised wasn't even on your honorable mentions. Jonathan Taylor was on my list. He was at 25.
Yeah, I don't know. Just he's good when he's healthy. I get it.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Sertan's interesting. I still put him on my list just because like he has its corners can be fluky. Like last year, there was some weird coaching going on early on defensively, and like I'm willing to kind of be be more forgiving. But I still had him low on my list. He was 24.
Yeah, it was just a big enough step back for me to say, like, yes, it could be fluky, but at the same time, that's a big step back. So that's why I had to move him down.
Yeah, chat. Let us know, who should we have put on the list. Who did we screw up by taking? Someone already says no Bryce Young mention. I think that was a mistake, Kyle. We meant to mention him.
Yeah. If I had if I gave you a choice of putting Caleb Williams or Bryce Young on the list, who would you say?
I think I would go with. I think I'd rather have Caleb Williams on the list. Yeah,
Yeah.
the guy. I'd rather the devil you don't than the devil you do. I think.
Yeah, that's probably fair.
Yeah. Brian Branch, that would have been a good choice.
Hmm. Yeah,
There's
he
a
is
lot
a
of good
good player.
players.
Yeah, there really is. Yeah, no, it is a fun exercise. It is hard to do, and like you said, after that first 12, I really felt like, um, finding the rest of that list was pretty tough. And that first 12, I thought really could be debated outside of Justin Jefferson.
Yeah. We have Joe says, who do you think I would sarcastically name? Tommy DeVito. Joe. We know. We know the answer.
Yeah, didn't make our list. Sorry, man. And unfortunately, Daniel Jones is 27, so he just missed out.
I don't know if that's the only reason why Daniel Jones missed out. I'm gonna guess there were other reasons. Yeah, thanks for everyone for hanging with us as we had some had to move the podcast back a day, so we appreciate everyone for being flexible here. Next week it'll be normal time. At least we plan for it to be normal time. Wednesday at 5 o'clock Eastern. Kyle, let them know where they can find us on Twitter before we head out.
Yeah, make sure to follow us on Twitter. That is at Jackson Kruger. Make sure to follow me at by Kyle Ronan, and make sure to follow the account page at On the Sideline JK. That is at On the Sideline JK.
Of course, like audio only podcast. Anywhere you get your podcast, search On the Sideline podcast. Kyle, Mavericks or Celtics? Where are you going?
Well, Mavericks have to win first, not jinxing
Sure,
it.
but I think we feel okay.
I think I would go Boston.
But you're so help me out. I know that you like the Mavericks. Would you say you're like a Mavericks fan, or are you just like someone who likes them?
I would say I'm a Mavericks fan. Yeah, I've had season tickets the last 3 years.
Yeah, so I figured, but I wasn't sure. Like I don't
Yeah,
know how you identify as a fan, Kyle. Yeah, so I don't know. I think that I just put it together the other day, like the Kyrie Irving to Boston. I just put that like storyline together like just a couple days ago.
yeah. Kyrie Irving to Boston, Kristaps Porzingis in Dallas. Those are two things. Um, I don't know. It's like the issue I have picking Dallas in the series. Like I think Dallas just has this superpower of winning fourth quarters, and I think that's the big thing they have going for them because Luka and Kyrie out execute almost anybody. The
Mm-hmm.
big issue I have is Boston has been such a problem for them the last couple of years, just because they have length, they have guards that everyone can attack, and the other issue I have is just the fact that like they have answers to Kyrie defensively. And if it becomes Luka versus the world, as good as Luka is, that's not usually a recipe for success.
Yeah, it makes sense. Well, poor Boston. They haven't had a championship in a while. Kyle, is it weird to root against the Boston team?
I've never been a Celtics fan. I just
Yeah, 'cause I was wondering. Like, does it feel weird at all, or because like I imagine a lot of people that you follow because their other sports takes like are now big Celtics
yeah.
fans.
Yeah. No, it's fine. I never really just associated the Celtics with me, so I just never did. I don't know why.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's interesting. But and then hockey's been fun. A couple close series is there. Have you watched it all?
Yeah. A little bit. Yeah, I mean, I've checked in and out. That Panthers Rangers series seems incredibly physical. Edmonton, it's been fun. That stick save was pretty awesome.
Yeah, that was fun. I hate it's tough because when your team is successful for a while, it's a lot of fun. But then they're not good anymore. And now it's all the teams that you hate are the ones that are
Are
successful.
winning.
Like I
Yeah.
don't like the Rangers or the Panthers or the the Stars. I'm like I need the Oilers to win, and they're the Oilers, so they're not gonna.
You don't think the Oilers got a shot?
They have a shot, but I don't know. I just feel like I think especially if they play the Panthers, I think the Panthers are good enough at taking away your stars.
Yeah, that's. I think either Eastern Conference team would win. Honestly.
Hmm. I
Um.
think Dallas would have a chance. I mean, either have a chance.
Yeah.
It's hockey, and no one's screwed. But I think Dallas would have a better chance.
Yeah. I think that's possibly. Yeah, I think I'd agree with that. McDavid has been really good though.
Yeah, and Draisaitl's like underrated, like the best like player in like hockey in the playoffs.
Yeah. So they got enough talent, I think.
Yeah, no, but it's been a fun series. I'm just hoping most teams lose, and I guess they will. Most teams will lose. I'll be
3
right.
out of 4. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's that's it. But I think I want the Rangers to beat the Panthers. I think that's where I'm at.
Yeah. You probably want Dallas to win, right? The whole thing. Like that'd be from a your perspective, that's who you want, Dallas.
I'd rather the Oilers because we played Dallas in the final a couple years ago, and that was a really physical series. So it's weird because the main guy I hated was Corey Perry, who then played for the Lightning, but I still like have like resentment towards Dallas.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't let the Canada streak end. Not like this. So,
I don't know. I think it'd be kind of funny to see like the riots and stuff.
but that's what happens when they lose.
Yeah, it happens if they get there. I mean, the Canadiens won a game after being down 3-0, and then they like set off fireworks in the crowd, and we're like go like flipping over cop cars just to go now only be down 3-1.
Yeah. So, what a time. All right, let's get out of here.
Yeah, let's get out of here. Thanks to everybody. We do appreciate it. See you next week. Until then, have a good one.
Peace.